Tēnā rā tātou katoa. Welcome to the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board Hui for August, and I'm just going to ask Papa Doug to open us up with a karakia.
Kia me tātou. Hare mai te wari wa tapu whakauri ki rati o mā te māka. Te kāpura tō awa me tō māramatama. Te kai mātou I te maunga mahi ai whakakrori e tō ingoa I runga I te maka. Ai, noho tai ai kia koe tana whakamukirina. Mātanei mātou ari ki mahi o Krito. Amen.
Amen. A kora mara tāti ki kua te kei ka maine tēnei rā te hui winga. Nā reira, tēnā koutou, kera mara tāti katoa. Ka mana malihiri a reiri maini. Tēnei rā te aparonga mai na kōrero o tāti mai tēnei hui. Nā reira, kera mara tāti katoa. Kia ora.
Tēnā kōrua. Welcome everybody to our monthly hui of the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board. I just want to move that we accept the apology for Councillor Arohanui Allen and also Councillor Fjorsic as they're in an important workshop and they'll be coming in when they can a bit later. And also we will have member Mokaraka coming online soon. If we can just note that. Happy to accept that.
Fine.
Kia ora. I also just want to really acknowledge the passing of some of our members of our community in the last few weeks. Nana Isaac Bristow, Queenie o Te Hekatu, sad loss for our way. Blue Newport, well known in conservation and community circles, and also Sam Papa out in Waima, and everybody who's lost somebody we acknowledge and send our aroha to the whānau at this time. Just a reminder to everybody that all of our meetings are live streamed on video, and so it's all being recorded and it will end up on the council YouTube channel. And if people can be mindful about the sound picks up, if you're speaking in the background or shuffling papers, the microphones do pick it up and it disturbs the sound. So if we can be mindful about that, that would be great. And at some point, we hope that our CEO, Guy Holroyd, is going to come and give us a little update about the local government reforms. And because he's in between meetings, we're just going to make time for him to have that kōrero in between, probably in between some of our other speakers. So without further ado, there we will go to public forum, and I believe we have Neil Phillips. So we have 3 minutes kōrero, and we tried to keep to time because we got a long day ahead of us. Kia ora.
Yeah, I'm here about what I talked about last week. It's not taking it and talking to people individually, it's the council that are reliable with it, what is being done on our harbour and stuff like that. And it's pretty serious to me what people have done, and I don't know how, I believe that the council should have had people protecting it when they were building the wharfs and stuff like that, not letting people just take things off the beach wherever it was, and taking stuff that's been there for thousands of years and stuff like that. And I should have been more prepared myself. But that's all I got to say, and it's pretty sad to me because our family had protected it for many years. And my nana come from Pangaru, across the north side. My dad's mum and that. It goes back to the Ferguson family and stuff like that. And their family had protected it for thousands of years and done it, the people had done it. It was art that Hopi had done there. It should have been left there and not touched. You know, the koro was carved in rock, rubbed into rock there and stuff like that. And it should not be touched as far as I'm concerned. And other artifacts that were there. And I believe it's $1 billion theft. That's what I believe for our community. For the community that, or people that took this are responsible for $1 billion theft here. Touching stuff that belong to the people of the land in the Tariwha. And I believe it's $1 billion theft. No muck around. It's the truth. They have no right to touch stuff and take stuff off our beaches that belong to the public and stuff like that. It's $1 billion theft. And people are going to be held accountable for that. In my eyes. And it's something I've got to say. Now, I need to talk about what happened with the car and that, even though they say not to talk about it. I find it pretty hard that the public are behind the car going in the library and that after the council asked me to get proof if the public want to put it there. And want it there, and I got signatures signed, went out of my way and people signed signatures at supermarkets where I sat and done it. And it's pretty sincerely sad to see that council are turning it down after the public have put their names forward for it to go into the or be part of the library and that. And I find it pretty sad and sincerely shameful, really, that people are turning it down after they asked for proof of it and stuff like that. And it's pretty serious, you know. There's a community of people on a board are turning down things that the ratepayers that pay the rates and that. All the local businesses signed it, except for one. So there's 99% people, and then the general public signed it. I didn't do it every day. I only sat there now and then. And I find it pretty shameful. The Northland Council has turned me down after they asked for proof. And I am prepared to give it to the council to put there for a year. Maybe 2 years if I have to see whether it's a good idea or not. You know, I'm not prepared to take money straight away or anything like that, but I am prepared to put it there. And the council should think about the general public here, because it's a serious thing, disrespecting the public. It's very serious in my eyes and the communities that surround it. It's a very serious thing to disrespect the public. It's a bit like taking stuff off the beaches. It doesn't belong to people. It belongs to the general public of New Zealand, Aotearoa, and people decide to take it. It's a very serious thing. Like I say, it's $1 billion theft for our people.
Okay.
My people. And for the whole general public of New Zealand. And people are, and I believe it's $1 billion theft. Okay, that's all I've got to say.
Thank you for coming and sharing that kōrero. Thank you. And I'm going to take this time now to...
I can't hear.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing. I'm just going to take some time for our CE to give an update on the local government reform.
Happy to.
Our CE, Guy Holroyd.
Kia ora. Morena. So good to see you all. As you probably know, we had an extraordinary council meeting yesterday. We voted on the options for the Head Start, Government's Head Start program for local government reform. And we went with what was option 4 in the optioning that was put forth. If you recall, so the options were essentially one, unitary for all of Northland. The second option was a hybrid single unitary authority with like an additional governance structure below it. So sort of fully empowered, essentially local council boards. And then there was the 2 unitaries, permanent 2 unitaries, a northern one and a southern unitary. And then the option 4 was ultimately a single unitary authority, but starting off, so doing that in a phased approach with 2 unitaries to start with from 2028, sorting out regional functions, and then moving to 1 unitary over a period of up to 10 years was actually the option that was originally tabled. So council voted to go with option 4, which would see longer term a single unitary authority for the whole Northern. The initial step would be from the 2028 election to move to 2 unitaries, which essentially would be Kaikohe and Whangarei merging, and then the Far North remaining as a unitary authority. And we would then obviously work on efficiencies, work on the regional functions from NRC, and then engineer a merger of the 2 unitaries at some point down the road. It was when that plan was originally tabled, it was suggested that should be over 3 electoral terms. Everybody's response to that was, that's too long. I think the reason it's tabled that way was to honour the referendum on Māori wards here in the Far North, and to give that time to not disturb that structure. My guess is what would play out, and that's assuming the government accepts that Head Start proposal, would be that we'd go with 2 unitaries from 2028, and then in 2031 probably merge to a single unitary. There's been an awful lot of debate around this one, a lot of workshops. We had like a very compressed program and timeline to get to this decision, which is not ideal. I would say our biggest concern was lack of consultation with communities. We did initiate the surveys that went out, and pleased to see that Whangarei and Kaikohe followed suit on that. When we started on this program and agreed the timeline, no one had even thought to do any consultation. So we insisted on let's do as much as we can, which entails essentially two surveys and a number of town hall meetings that were done, which were very useful actually, just to get feedback from people in person. And they were reasonably well attended. The Kaikohe one, not so much, but I think Kaitaia was better. What I said to councillors, and just to probably go back a little, at the start of the triennium, we anticipated that this was coming. We staffed this up, resourced it, and started a discussion on local government reform. And that was in November, at the very first mayoral forum meeting. We actually tabled, so Roger Ackers tabled a paper on LG reform. What we set out there was maybe we should do this through to getting results in 2031. The mayoral forum feedback was, look, if we're going to do some type of reform, we should aim to get it done by 2028 elections. So we then rejigged a timeline that would see a project achieve that. And what that provided for was setting up a governance structure which included the elected member steering group. So that was already in motion before the Head Start program got announced by government. The idea is, if we run our process, it would have looked more like doing detailed analysis of the different options in front of us, and then doing significant consultation with communities probably starting in September, October and running through till next March. So the idea is that we would have, where we got to now, we would have been aiming to do that next April or May. So we're giving us significantly more time to look at the details, do the cost-benefit analysis of any reform options, and then go to communities to have a proper cordial with people about what they wanted. So that sort of puts it in perspective, and that was already a compressed time frame. So it sort of puts in perspective what we've just been put through by government, that this was very accelerated. And so I think we've come up with what essentially is the best compromise for the options that were put forward. And I don't think we have a lot of choice but to go along with the Head Start program. The sort of slight gnarly part of the Head Start program is this notion of compulsion, where we have three councils in the district councils in the region, two councils, or the majority of the population, the majority of the councils can come up with a plan and drag the third council along, which is essentially what has happened. Kaikohe formally requested that they not be included in the Head Start program, but they are, so they will get dragged along and compelled to come along with us in this new structure, which I don't think anyone was particularly happy about doing that. We're conscious that we have communities have a voice, they have their own council, and when they tell us their wishes, it's kind of hard to just ride over the top of that. So I don't think that was done lightly, but it's sort of a hallmark of the Head Start program that we've been participating in. So I don't know if that helps, but that's where we're at. What that will see next is, so Friday we will put the proposal into government, and we should hear back in September. That is our understanding. Once we get communications back from the government, then we would, in an ideal world, we'll go to a detailed design phase. So that will be the same government structure where we'll have the elected member steering group, regular meetings and more intense workshops. And there'll be a team of people that will start work on looking at how we actually make this happen. And a key part of that will be drilling into the analysis of the costs and benefits. And because we haven't really got to the bottom of, there's just been this assumption that there will be benefits of scale and cost savings. I'm yet to be convinced. It's not to say they're not possible, but it just in government sector. So I come from the private sector. I've seen big mergers. I was Royal Bank of Scotland for a decade in London in the 1990s. That culminated in the acquisition of NatWest, which was the largest bank in the UK. And so $1.6 trillion balance sheets merged. It happened fast, and it saved enormous amounts of money. So we know it can happen. You can merge big institutions and create savings. I'm particularly keen to see how we would do that in the government. Certainly, my mission will be, and my team, particularly Charlie Billington and co. Our mission will be to be very, very demanding of the transition team that gets put together, and be insisting on seeing some real savings. But generally, it's not the way government used to. And we saw that at all, where they had the transition board set up to merge all the entities. That came at a huge cost. What does worry me is that the starting point for a merger of the councils will be the announcement of a very large restructuring charge of $30 to $50 million. When I started this discussion on local government reform, the first thing I said to her was my objective in initiating this discussion is that I believe we can put $70 million back in ratepayers' pockets across North. That's just the back of the envelope first guess at what we could create in efficiencies. So I do hope we can achieve that. I don't think it'll be a straight line to get there, though. I think there'll be a lot of debate. It'll be probably a bit like Northern Waters, where we really had to push an agenda to make sure we got or protected the Parliament's interests, essentially.
So thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure.
And sharing and bringing us up to speed on something that will affect everybody. I'm not going to take time for questions now, but I think this will come up in our discussions and we'll keep abreast of it. And if people have questions going ahead, particularly after the government's made their call,
Yep.
then
of course, she's got a busy agenda as well.
But thank you and thank you for coming and taking the time and sharing your insights on that. So.
Pleasure.
Kia ora.
Good to see you all.
Ka pai.
Thank you.
So we'll
Questions?
I was going to say I have to take questions, but if you
are we dying to ask questions?
Yes.
Okay, quick questions, because this is outside of our agenda.
Sorry.
And we've got people waiting. Quick questions, we'll have Matua, Eddie and then Dennis.
I've got a lot of outsiders asking me about this council joining. Every council, you know, the three. Is there going to be a super council or similar to Auckland or what? Because we've got a big area here, and Auckland's pretty intense there. It's closer.
So, proposal will entail a single unitary. Where it's headquartered, I don't know. The logical answer for me would be Kaikohe is the centre of Auckland. We can put it here. Once again, that will be up for debate. The Head Start program, one of the parameters was you need to give consideration to preserving local figures. We can certainly haven't even done that with the limited consultation we did, but for sure we will be studying the Auckland model and the local boards that Auckland has. So those boards so they're like a community board, but with more discretion and with specific budgets, so they control a lot more of what happens locally. So we'll be fighting for that structure. And, you know, forget Whangarei and Kaikohe, we have a very diverse range of communities right here in the far north, 250 hub. And a big geographical area. So that doesn't specifically answer your question. Yes, it's going to be one big unitary authority is the final outcome. Well, one of the reasons we went with this option 4 with this phased approach is that it gives us some time to be a unitary authority for the far north. And it may be that we get to fight another day by buying that time. So it's like we get set up as a unitary authority for the far north, and we do a good job. We do it as best we can, and then maybe that'll be defensible, and then we say there's no point in going to the final step to a single unitary because everything's working very well as it is, and we've achieved our economies of scale, etc. So that's part of the nuance of this phased approach is that we buy some time.
Kia ora, and I'll take one more question from member Orr.
$70 million back of the envelope savings. How's that going to impact on service delivery rather than core services?
We were doing that on the basis that we're not here to reduce levels of service. We're just looking to find efficiencies. And when you start looking at combined profit and loss across the 4 councils or so, including NRC, you're hitting well past $500 million. We have a $230 million line P&L, so you get us and Whangarei is $500 million, and NRC and Kaikohe, you get through $700 million. So then you start looking at
10%.
That's not how we did it, but yeah, you start looking at actual numbers of like headcount, how much the average cost of staff is, and how many people you need. Just look at having one IT system, one financial control team, produces accounts, etc. So it doesn't take. It's not a stretch to get to those sort of numbers.
Thanks.
So that's the idea.
Well, I've got lots of questions, but I think that's a time we'll workshop it, and that's been a really rushed process forced on councils by government, and that's why it's been so quick. But thank you for your time.
Rest assured, we are fighting for the farm in our community.
And I just want to let everybody know the strong kōrero from our people and from our elected members has been that Māori boards and community boards are incredibly important as far as representation goes across the far north. So everyone's fighting to keep those as part of wherever we go forward. Thank you so much.
Good to see you all. Thank you.
Right. So now I will go to our deputation, and we have online Sri Lockyer from ChargeNet. Are you there, Sri?
Kia ora. I'm Sri Lockyer, the site acquisitions manager for ChargeNet. I'm currently doing some exciting work with the Far North District Council, just trying to pretty much install AC charging sites across key parts of Northland and the Far North. I'm personally Kerikeri born and bred, and we currently have this sort of government initiative to roll out 1,200 AC chargers across the country. Generally, with the Far North and Northland being top energy, it's quite an expensive electricity cost, but it's something where I want to make sure that the Northland and the Far North get a piece of that pie. So I've been working with Aya Morris from the Sustainability Program Lead from Far North District Council. We've identified a few sites that we would like to basically request Community Board to consider for installation of AC charging. One of those is 14 Merino Place. That's quite a good central location. And for AC charging, it's quite different from DC charging. AC charging is very slow trickle charging. So you want EV drivers, either those from the community or visitors to Kaikohe, to be able to park and use that facility for at least 2 hours or more. That would support things like the library, the community centres, even, workers or employees working in the township for the day. And also the sports fields in that area. Our idea is in order for this sort of model to work, we've got to deploy a minimum of 6 AC chargers at any sort of location. That just helps with the uptime, with the optionality, but also we won't bay mark the bays as EV only. They will be shared with both EV and petrol or fuel cars, but if the Far North District Council or the community want to bay mark 1 or 2, make a hybrid, then we'll work with you guys to do that as well. And obviously, as EV uptake increases over the years, we can also increase that bay marking as well. Essentially, if you're driving an EV and you want to charge at an AC charge site, if your car comes in at, say, 10% full, it takes about 7 to 10 hours, depending on the model of EV, to charge from 10% to 100%. The smaller battery cars, like the Nissan Leafs, they might be 5 to 6 hours. The sort of faster or the later model cars, like the Teslas and the BYDs, because they have a much bigger battery, it takes about, say, 8 to 10 hours if they were coming in at 10% charge. Usually with the driver behaviour, they're not there to sort of fully charge from empty to full. It's pretty much you top up as you go. You're parking there for a few hours, you're doing your shopping or you're working for the day, you might as well be charging at the same time. So essentially, so I'm keen to sort of see if this model works for this location, to sort of see if there are other opportunities in Kaikohe where you would like some AC charging. ChargeNet fully fund everything in terms of install, the power that we use, the repairs, the maintenance, the inspections, everything is all funded by ChargeNet. So it's essentially just a community service or facility that we provide with no cost to the council or to the community. Yeah, I'm happy to sort of open the forum for any questions you have at this stage.
I do have a question. I'll start.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you for that. I own a Nissan Leaf and use the ChargeNet charger when I'm in Kaikohe. I'm just wondering, but I don't know heaps about chargers. I'm just come in and use it. So I'm just wondering, because we had Meridian in, and I didn't actually ask what type of charger. I didn't know the question to ask. So with the DC chargers being a lot faster, why would people choose AC? Is it much cheaper? Is it better for the battery, or what do you know about that?
I mean, if we really get down to the nitty gritty, I mean, the DC charging sites, which I believe is the only one sort of Meridian are putting forward, at this stage, they are quite a much bigger investment in terms of if you were to put high-powered DC chargers in, you then need transformer or an upgrade of transformer. I mean, the cost can range from, depending on the connection cost, 100,000 to up to 500,000, depending how big and fast the chargers are. With that transformer, if you can upgrade the existing one, great. If you can't, you need to put in a new dedicated transformer that needs an easement, all the rest of it. With AC charging, it is a lower cost solution, and we'll have areas around the far north that won't have the traffic count or the foot traffic or the visitation levels to justify a heavy investment like DC charging. That's where all the AC charging will do well. And also, like I say, in the car parks of near sports fields, sports centres and that, it's much better to have an AC charging solution because it matches the dwell time there. For example, if you do put in a DC charging site, you'll need to plug in and probably get back to your car within the hour and allow the next person through. Whereas AC charging, you just plug it in and just leave it, either for the day if you're working nearby, or for your sports game, or if you are at a community event or something. So they both have their purpose and they can both match dwell time depending on what you're doing.
Other questions? Thank you so much for your time, Sri, and I think you'll probably come back to us with more information, so we've got some idea of what your what your proposal is. So thank you so much for your time and for coming here today. Kia ora.
Thanks for your time. Kia ora.
And now we'll move on to our speakers for funding applications. And just so everyone's aware, you've got 5 minutes to speak for funding. And if you leave some time for questions, that'll probably be a good thing to do. People may have some questions, and we have all read your funding applications. So I'm going to go in the order that I have here, and we have Peter McRae from North Hokianga A&P Association. Kia ora, Peter, nice to see you again.
Kia ora.
Yeah, you can come into the table, or you can stand at the podium. Kia ora.
Morena tātou. Ko Peter McRae, tōku ingoa. No Hokianga hau. Ko Manganui o Waiparoa, tōku tūranga waiwai. And it's here with that pōtai on this morning, speaking on behalf of the North Hokianga A&P Association, and our funding application that we've put to council for some new goalposts on our community sports field. And the old posts are over 20 years old. They're mostly wooden, and they're looking a bit tired. And so we need to renew them. The application that we've put in is for $9,890, which is just the cost of to buy and have delivered some new goalposts. The installation of the posts and hireage of gear to enable that to be done, and the is all part of our project cost on top of the cost of the goalposts. And also I've included in the application the cost, what it costs us over a year to maintain the sports field, like the mowing, the spraying, the making sure all the access is all good, the drains are all good, all those sorts of things. So we cover that cost, the A&P Association. Why are we asking North District Council for the Pūtea? Because it's a community sports field. We estimate conservatively that the field gets used at least 40 times a year by different community sports groups. Examples of this are the Pawaringa Broncos rugby league team. That field is they use it for all of their trainings, and it's their home game field. So it gets used a lot, particularly at the moment. The Manganuiawai Broadwood School use it for additional fields as well as their own for training. When they host sports days at the kura, they've got extra fields there available for them to use. Obviously, that doesn't cost anybody anything. Hokianga JMB use it for area get-togethers and training. And the Far North Natives, which is the women's touch team, also use it for training. So there's plenty of use. In the application form, one of the questions was what community outcomes your project will bring. And the two that stood out for us are proud, vibrant communities and communities that are healthy, safe, connected and sustainable. This is a community sports field. We're proud to have and we're proud to offer it to the community. And if we can create a place where whānau can come together and enjoy their sports and support each other, then, hey, that's a good thing, particularly in the Hokianga. That's all I had to say. Kia ora.
Any questions for Peter?
It doesn't appear that you've tried any other funders.
No, I haven't.
You haven't tried
Not at this stage. No. The application came out of 2 meetings ago, our monthly committee meeting, and one of our committee members just said, hey, Whanau District Council have got this fund. We didn't even know about it, to be honest. Although, thinking back a number of years for our annual A&P show, we had applied for some event funding from Whanau District Council. They just said, hey, look, it's for community events, try this. We have used other funders like lotteries and Foundation North. That was 2 years ago now we renovated the whole community hall there in Broadwood. So we've used them. We just probably felt that we don't want to, keep going back to the same place. And if this fund is here for community use, then we felt that was the most appropriate place to fund. But if you guys were to say no, then okay, we have to go and knock on someone else's door for sure.
Any other questions? Thank you for coming all this way in the cold. So do we have Josh Simpkins from Pūmanawa? Sorry, it's Kōminia, you come. Kia ora. You're speaking on behalf.
Vai te pitinga, ki te toronga, ka tau te raki te pare, ko rapitina, ko tau mutu te marae, ko ngā hapu, e ritani pā ngāti neira ngāti koroe, te whare bero e, ko te ahu te manga, ko o mapere te waitapu e rere ana mai te ahu ki te Hokianga, ko kai tāra te tangata e a tēnā akata a pūriri o tai a mai e mihi atu nei kia tātou katoa. Ora nā tātou, tēnā ka tuku mihi atu kia tātou, timatanga tuku ngā whakamuimiti ki te tātou nei atua, nei hanga nā nei tango ngā mea mai te rangi ki te whenua, nō reira kia whakore ki tōna ngā tapu. Ngā tini mate, pērā rawa, Mr. Nupo, koia te tahi o taku kaiako i ngā wā i kuraina ki te kura o kaihe, no reira i te matua haere whakangaru atu rā. Ka huri mai ngā rāringa kōrero kia tātou katoa, mauri ora kia tātou katoa. Morning, my name is Kumene Marino. I'm here on behalf of the Pūmanawa Awhina. We applied for 29K, and you would have had a read through the application and that. I'll start on our journey about 2021. I come into this role with Pūmanawa Awhina as the community connector. Our mahi is to put on activations for our community and our kuras to build that intergenerational interaction. We started with Kiorahi at the Kaikohe Rugby Club. Chiki was actually a part of that at our very first initiative. We had about 4 teams in the beginning. Coming up to 2026, approximately on average we get about 24 to 26 whānau teams. First it was just school teams, now we have whānau teams. Our furthest one that comes in is probably Hokianga, Kohu, and we also have whānau teams, 3 of them that come from Kaikohe-Hokianga, which is, if you don't know where that is, it's out in the Wops, which is Pipiwai. So our kaupapa is built to help our tamariki see that there's a pathway, to keep their little idle hands busy. I know that for facts. So yeah, I just wanted to give me kia koe whai cows, matapiripi, in this buddy. You've probably seen a lot of our mahi throughout the last 5 years that we've been in this space. And I think through consistency, you see the fruit of your labour. So hence the reason why we've applied for this application, because actually within the last year we've gone through a bit of bumps, as you know, with funding from the government. So we're just trying to look at different avenues in case we get cut from that side, and we can look at local funding to help support the program. Within Pūmanawa Awhina, we also have a program in Pūmanawa Awhina which is called Igniting Potential Rangatahi. It's a youth initiative which focuses around personal development, event management, sports and rec, and marketing and media. Those are the 4 kind of areas that we cover within our program. And obviously there is a wish list below each of those titles, licensing, CVs, how to run an event, how to book a venue, how to access funding, how to officiate, how to run warm-up, and then on the marketing and media side, how to put flyers together and then how to send that all out. It's our program within the IPIR. And then, yeah, everything else that you will see in the application. Tēnā tātou.
Questions for Komene? Member all.
Very successful program, doing a lot for youth. Why isn't it part of a local organisation rather than one based out of Otahuhu?
So initially, I'm still young. So obviously, when you're young, you jump at the first option that you get. But as slowly I'm getting older, that's why I'm coming into these spaces to try and look at making it more localised. Yep. And that's actually what Pūmanawa Awhina have wanted from the very beginning, is to establish your own steering group, which is another word for committee, to kind of build your own organisation so that you can run it just out of the mid-north. So I think I'm at that point where I'm starting to get through what you've asked. So yes.
Thank you.
I also have a question. Your reputation goes before you. It's a really positive reputation about what you're doing with rangatahi and tamariki. So really want to mihi to you for that, Komene.
Praise the Lord, fire.
And I just wondered, because our total amount of putia for each grant, like for the whole year, for the whole area, we have a set amount of putia that we can, distribute. So if you weren't to, and a lot of this putia is actually, I believe, for your role as coordinator?
No, not my role. So I used to be in the role, but that was kind of why. So when I come into this role, it wasn't for me. It was to help our younger ones to stay local and have jobs. So my sister is actually the coordinator, and I have 10 hours that I do coming into governance space just so I can get the funding to help our younger ones so that these jobs for them to stay within the community.
So your sister's role?
Yes.
Yeah, kia ora. And I believe I saw there's like a contract already there. And I just wondered, what happens if you don't get this full amount from us? What options do you have? Will there still be the program still run, or is that the end of your...
Like with via Kels's question around accessing other funding, we've done that. So hopefully it's still going through the process, obviously, with the renewal, the June financial year, that we get other fundings from like TPK and all those other ones. So I'm used to running off nothing. I grew up in a family of 10 on a mince for one night on 10 people, and we learned to figure it out, right? We used our initiative. If we can't get the funding here, then hopefully we can access funding somewhere. We'll probably still carry on, work with the likes of like Mihi at the building and ask if we can do a bit of a partnership with him, exposing the gym to whānau so that when they hire it at a market rate to build the economy here in Kaikohe. So we would just probably carry on. Yeah.
Thank you. Kia ora. Any other pātai for Komini? Thank you so much for your time and your awesome presentation. Kia ora. Quickly looking at... so we have Phil Waggett from Splash Save Foundation online. Are you there? Kia ora, Phil. Your turn. You've got 5 minutes. If you leave some time for questions, that would be cool.
No worries at all. Kia ora, everyone. Thank you very much for the time. Really looking forward to it. I'm talking to you guys today about drowning, and drowning is one of the leading causes of death, especially in children. And it's something that we've been working on with Water Safety New Zealand for a number of years now, about a way to get more parents involved in their basic water safety education. So anybody can teach anybody to float. It's a skill that anybody can do if you learn the right way to do it, with the aim of being that if we can get more kids able to float and be water confident by the time they enter the very successful school age program, then we see a trickle-on effect and an increase in skills, an increase in awareness, and an increase in knowledge as well. The different thing about the Splash Save approach is it's directly linking in with the parent, and that's really a game changer as far as it goes, as you'll be aware with the really successful Sport Northland program that's been running for many, many years. The cost of getting the kids to the lessons, kind of all of the costs associated with the teachers and the pool space, that is very prohibitive, and it's only getting more prohibitive in the current economic climate. So Splash Save is around to try and change those behaviours from parents, and then really link it into the already successful programs that are running around the region. So we truly believe in collaboration, and then supporting the local programs that are happening in the area. We've done this all over New Zealand, as well as in Australia as well, and we find that it really helps the communities become more water safe, see a reduction in the drowning statistics, and then also see an increase in skill at that school age level. That's it in a nutshell. The aim of this funding application is to continue to, I suppose, expand the program to new regions. We haven't really worked in Northland before, and obviously with the amount of coastline that there is up there, it's a really rural area as well, with, as has been mentioned many a time during the meeting, it's a large area to cover, and it's a large area to travel through. So this solution provides something that the parents can do at home without the need to travel, and removing all of those barriers to ultimately learning to swim.
Oh, fine. Any questions from our members?
Have you formed any local partnerships up here in the whānau?
Yeah, so we have worked with Sport Northland before, and then our aim with these funding applications is to really start to embed those partnerships locally. So what we do is work with the different areas around New Zealand to really kind of tailor the approach so that it's right for the local community, and then that's done in partnership with all of the local pools, local ECE centres, kind of Plunkett and others, in terms of, kind of really starting to spread that message to parents. So we have quite a few national partnerships that we would want obviously lean into, and then the aim would be to utilise this funding to really strengthen that safety net for the community.
I just want to refresh my question. Sport Northland is regional. I meant to ask, any local contacts?
Not at this stage yet.
In our ward.
Yes, but the first place that we always start is with the local pool, because they know which communities are already engaged and which communities need more engagement. And then we work with the local facility to go and then roll that out to the community. But obviously we don't start that work until we know that we'll be able to actually do the good in the community first.
But I just, reading your application, part of it said that whānau will get tickets to, I think it was Bay Recreation, and I assume that's a typo.
Yes.
Yeah. So have you applied to the other community boards? Is that where that came from?
Yes. Apologies for that one. Yes. So again, we've applied to a few different areas to try and make as much impact as we possibly can. And obviously Northland is one of the areas in New Zealand that kind of need a bit more support, because the drowning statistics kind of always highlight Northland as an area that needs more.
And another question, I just wondered if we award some funding, and I see a bunch of that pūtea goes to provide the free access to the pools. What happens if people don't pick up that opportunity? Like, what happens is that you do more marketing, what happens if people aren't engaged? Because it's new here, and we know our people don't necessarily jump and embrace new ideas. So I just wondered what your approach is. If it isn't quickly picked up, what do you do with that money?
So we continue to, I suppose, grow the relationships in the local area and continue to push until they're all out. So the aim is that, all of the programs end up in whānau's hands. So to give you an idea, in some of the areas just similar where it hasn't been picked up straight away, instead of relying through like the local Plunkett, for example, we would then start working more closely with the early childhood education centres in the area, or do a combined community outreach with the local facility as well. So the pool is then getting more and more involved, because the ultimate aim of Splash Save is not that they just pick up our online program and use it. It's that they start using the pool's facilities and programs that's available in their local area. So we carry on finding the right partners in the area until we find the right communities that are really keen to jump on board. And then what we found is more communities that jump on board, the word then spreads, and then we see other communities interested in participating.
Any other questions from the members? Thank you for your time, Phil. And we'll be making a decision later on, and our funding advisor will be in touch.
Awesome, cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have Shelley Pumari from Te Ringa Hāpai Pathways Charitable Trust. Kia ora, Shelley.
Kia ora.
In 5 minutes.
Ko Shelley Pumari tōku ingoa, leader and program lead and founder of Te Ringa Hāpai Pathways. Firstly, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you all today. I'm not here simply to ask for funding. I'm here to invite the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board to become part of a community-led solution that has already begun. Like many of you, spent time working alongside whānau across Te Tai Tōkino. I've seen incredible strengths within our people, but I've also seen far too many fall through the gaps between wellbeing, education, training and employment. So rather than continue talking about the challenges our communities face, we decided to build a solution that reflects our communities. One that begins in Kaikohe, but it has been intentionally designed to grow alongside our rural communities across the Kaikohe-Hokianga district. Te Ringa Hāpai Pathways is a kaupapa Māori charitable trust based here in Kaikohe. Our purpose is simple: to walk alongside people who are often overlooked, helping them rebuild confidence, strengthen well-being, reconnect with purpose, and ultimately move into sustainable education, training or employment. Employment is the outcome. The journey begins much earlier. So our program follows 3 phases. Te kore, rebuilding identity, confidence, well-being and readiness. Te pō, developing practical skills, digital capability, career exploration and planning. Te ao ngārama, supporting participants into employment, training or further education while continuing to walk alongside them. So we believe lasting employment begins with restoring the person first. One of the principles we've built Te Ringa Hāpai Pathways around is that opportunity shouldn't depend on where someone lives. Whether a person lives in Kaikohe, Horeke, Rawane, Kohukohu, Opanoni, Māpere, Paruru, or any of our surrounding rural communities, they deserve access to the same opportunities to grow, learn, contribute and thrive. That's why, although our pilot begins from a Kaikohe hub, our long-term vision is to establish rural community clusters across the Kaikohe-Hokianga district. Rather than expecting communities to continually come to us, we want to build partnerships that allow us to walk alongside communities within their own communities. Because we believe strong communities are built when opportunities are shared, not centralised. While today's presentation is about our vision, I also want you to know that Te Ringa Hāpai Pathways is no longer just an idea. Over the past several months, we've quietly focused on doing the groundwork properly. We've established the governance, organisational systems, registrations, policies and operational foundations needed to deliver with integrity and accountability. We've secured program premises here in Kaikohe, built relationships with employers and community partners, developed our program resources and prepared our pilot program, which begins on the 24th of August with our first cohort of participants. We deliberately chose to build the foundations before asking others to invest, because we believe trust is earned through preparation as much as passion. Kaikohe doesn't have a shortage of potential. It has an abundance of talented people who, for many different reasons, haven't always had the right opportunities or the right support at the right time. We believe lasting change happens when we stop seeing people as problems to solve and start recognising the strengths they already carry. Our role is to walk alongside them, help uncover those strengths and create pathways into education, training and employment, meaningful employment. When one person succeeds, the impact reaches far beyond that individual. It strengthens whānau, contributes to our local workforce and creates stronger, more connected communities across Kaikohe-Hokianga and our surrounding rural areas. We want every community to see itself reflected in this journey, not just those who live closest to the services. So, today I'm not simply asking for financial support. I'm inviting the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board to become part of a shared vision for our community. Our pilot program is ready to begin. The foundations have been laid. Now comes the important part, walking alongside our people as they take their next steps. Whether your support comes through funding, advocacy, connections, or simply believing in what we're building, every partnership strengthens the opportunities available to our community. I often say that Te Ringa Hāpai means the helping hand, but the strongest helping hand is never just one person's. It's a community choosing to stand together. I would be honoured to have the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board walking alongside us from the very beginning of this journey. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou. I'm happy to answer your questions.
Shelley, we'll go to member on questions.
So I understand you need to do the pilot here because that's where your resources are. But in terms of a program rollout,
yes,
would you consider flipping it around so that in the rollout, it's Hokianga first before you continue in Kaikohe?
What we've realised or what we've learnt is we needed a centralised hub, hence why we've built it here. But what I also what was important to me is our rural communities not getting the same effect. So how do we help those rural communities? And I think our relationships with the communities within themselves is helpful. Like marae, talking to marae, there's often other hapu doing things. So building those relationships, how can we work together and offering our services to those communities that otherwise have to come here.
Just a supplementary question. How soon could you do the other areas in terms of building those partnerships?
Right, kapai. So the pilot starts 24th of August. We'll be taking that data, we'll be taking that information, what we learn and refining it, and then we hope to do the full programs 2027 and starting out those in the Hokianga areas.
We have questions from other members?
You talk about becoming part of shared visions, partnerships. So are you partnering with like Te Kona and the Solomon Group and this and that because they already appear to be doing this very similar program? So do you work with them? And if not, why is your program so different?
So we've had kōrero with some of those organisations that you've just raised. The other thing is we're not here to replace any provider that's currently operating. What we've found is we're filling the gaps, and there are gaps. So it's been intentionally designed to fill those gaps and not replace any of the work that's already currently done from, because some of the providers are doing some really great work. But we've seen gaps or identified gaps, so let's fill those in. Because what we also found was a lot of fragmentation. You can have a participant get to such a point, and then you have to send them somewhere else to the next, and it didn't it didn't seem continuous, so we thought to bring it together in one space. But at the same time, talk to all the other existing providers, and that's what we've been doing.
I have a part-time. I'm trying to get we understand there's a need, there's gaps, and moving to training and employment, and everything's really important. With this pilot project that begins on the 24th of August, I'm trying to understand what that actually looks like, and have you already got enrolled participants?
Yes.
What is your shooters, or what is the background? I don't know what you're covering. I understand the aim.
So we have a small cohort, and we've intentionally decided small for the pilot of 8 adults start on the pilot, and that also includes rangatahi from one of the kura here. So we're offering we're calling it a rangatahi exposure pathway. So rangatahi C, before they leave kura, there's limited bridging. That you're either in kura or you're in mahi. So we're offering an exposure pathway for rangatahi from the kura that we've had a relationship with, and just how that looks for them, so they can have a hindsight as to where their pathways could possibly be. So we do have a small pilot that start on the 24th of August, along with a rangatahi exposure pathway as well here in Kaikohe.
And so you've already received some funding to pay your kaimahi, or is this a voluntary?
A lot of it has been in kind. Everything that we've established right now has been funded by the founders and in kind. But we've had community puha desks. So we've had the community support us with they've kuha desks and office equipment or chairs. We've come in with our own, but a lot of the time and the administration work has been kuha and in kind.
Yes. So for your tutors or your kaimahi, that will also be in kind, or is that come through some other organisation?
We're hoping that comes through another organisation.
So you've done some other funding applications?
We have applied for other funding applications, and just to make sure that we're aligning with their requirements.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Where exactly is your hub? It says 151. Where is that?
Kaikohe. So it's above Len's Pies.
Thank you so much.
I have a question. Don't you think that we're currently oversaturated with organisations like your own? I mean, you mentioned my Pākainga. We get Ngāti Kahu coming into Panguri. We get Ngāti Hine coming into Panguri. We get Ngāpui coming into Panguri. We get different whare wānanga coming into Panguri, and it's to do what you're trying to. Don't you think that Kaikohe is oversaturated with organisations like your own?
I hear what you're saying, Matua, and really good question. What we found was not so much what other organisations are already providing, but the gaps that isn't quite meeting or that we've identified. It was around the gaps that we've identified, and myself and the other founders realised that working in this space, we're like, well, why do we do it? And have to send them elsewhere to do that part. So it was really identified around the gaps that is currently visible.
Why I say that, because a lot of Pākainga have realised that they are the solution for their problems. So they're standing up their own wānanga, because at the moment, a lot of places that need help, they're wānanga'd out. Yānanga, or whatever you want to call it, they're burned out. And I'm just asking, what I'm asking is, have you realised? Because we we're at that cold phase, as I suppose you are too, but we see the issues we have, so we try. It's self-determination.
Great.
You own, if your hapu has a problem, the hapu that problem, and they have those conversations to self-help.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time and bringing this important kōrero to our table. All the funding decisions will be made later on, and then our advisor will be in touch with all the applicants.
Thank you.
And we have, on my list, we have one more kai kōrero, Hiringa Evans from Te Taitokoro Tarai Waka. Kia ora, online there, kia ora, and you've got 5 minutes. Hiringa
Tēnā tātou, can you hear me okay? Ai? Ka pai. Ai tuku mihi kia koutou, tautoko ngā mihi kua mihia. Ko wai au, ko Kiringa Wai Evans ahau, ko au te kai pūtea mo te rōpū te tai tukero o te Tārai Waka Incorporated Society. Thank you. Just acknowledgements to the board and acknowledgements to all the amazing community mahi that you lead as part of the community board. My name is Kiringa Wai Evans. I'm the treasurer of Te Taitokoro Tārai Waka Inc. My chairperson has kindly joined to be present in our presentation, Joyce Munns Conrad. She is the chairperson for our Incorporated Society. We are, I suppose, descendants or uri of Papa Hector's legacy. In this particular kaupapa, it's Wakahaurua, so we were brought up in the birth of Te Aurere and the rediscovery of celestial navigation and waka building. Joyce is the granddaughter of Nikki Conrad, who was the kaitiaki of Ngā Toki Matawhaurua Waka in Waitangi, and I'm a mokapuna of the nannies who supported Papa Hector, but my father was Piripi Evans, a Pou navigator. So that's just a little bit about ourselves. We are both the executive of Tārai Waka, and we have an amazing opportunity, amazing event that we have submitted our proposal to your community board today, and we are seeking financial support. It is the first time we are hosting the National Wakahaurua Festival, Te Haukomaru 2026. We have put our own ingoa, like we like to do in Taitokoro, and call it Te Hekinga Mai, just to uplift the amazing legacy Papa Hector Busby, Sir Hector Busby left us. And this event is taking place the 22nd to the 29th of November. We are expecting at least 5 Wakahaurua sailing as far as Wellington, Tauranga, Kawhia, Auckland, Ngāti Wai, to join us. We also have some Wakahaurua that possibly are coming back from Samoa. That's our whanaungas, Te Matawa Maui from Kahungungu, and we also have Tairāwhiti in Gisborne. So it's a huge event. In our proposal, the key thing that we're wanting to acknowledge in this is with the festival, there is a week-long workshops for our rangatahi for all schools in Taitokoro. So we are targeting at least 1,000 students from primary school, intermediate school, college and kura. We're rolling out our online booking and invites next week. And because of the sacred knowledge or the rareness of mātauranga Māori and waka haurua, this is an amazing opportunity for all our kids of Northland to get a taste of hearing our narrative, hearing our history, and understanding how to sail by the stars, understanding how to pull up sails, understanding how to tie knots, touch and feel a waka haurua that's moored at Maunganui, have a go on a hulapuni at Taipa, and possibly watch the building of a waka kōpapa. So in our proposal, we've mentioned some of the workshops that we'll be rolling out. We're really excited. With regards to us presenting to the community board for Kaikohe and Hokianga, we see the strong connections to reach out to all mid and far north schools, but also to acknowledge the mahi that was done under Sir Papa Hector with the restoration of Ngā Toki, Matawhaurua and Otaua, Ngai Tūtaru. We were a part of restoring that beautiful waka and putting that waka back on the water. So we have lots of hononga and wānanga that we did in the past, sailing into Hokianga Harbour on Te Aurere a number of times, and also being a part of supporting the Mangungu celebrations for Te Tiriti of Waitangi. So it's important for us to reconnect and to showcase the amazing stories of our ancestors, tupuna, and more recently sailors who have sailed from Rarotonga to Hawaii to Rapa Nui, and those who also come from Hokianga that have been on those journeys. So there's nothing else I really want to add other than I'll let my chairperson Joyce make a comment, and then we're open for any questions the board may have. Kia ora tātou.
Morena. I think we're just really open for any comments. But Kenny always explained it really well. We're really excited. The hype is already out there. The release of the dates will be hopefully next week under Te Hau Komaru on their website, and then from there we'll start to plan in regards around the kura booking into our workshops. But also this year we have connected with the Hawaiians, so a contingency of 45 of them will be coming across. We've also asked them did they want to run a couple of workshops, which they will be doing. So we have the Hawaiians on board with us as well, so it's going to be really exciting. They're going to be launching out a couple of new workshops for our kura to experience. So, along with all our other waka workshops that are normally run throughout these Te Hau Komaru events annually. But open for questions.
Kia ora, I have a question. I'm super excited about this kaupapa, and I don't go to school, but are we able to come and visit and have a look as a community board?
That'll be awesome. I think one of the best things to do is to come actually on the Pōwhiri Day, because you're going to see the hype there. Not only that, we will be receiving our original mast for Te Aurere Waka. So she is getting released from Te Papa, and Te Hau o Matariki will be sailing her back home. So the original mast that was on our waka haurua is returning home from Te Papa. But not only that, we're in the middle of the rebuild of Te Aurere Waka also, and we hope to have our deck lined up for the festival, so that is going to be a visual thing for people to see, and will be a hand-selected few that have the opportunity to put the deck back on her and relash a deck on during the festival. So, there's a few things going to be popping off. We've also been asked to release a new series for tamariki, all in te reo, about mata finding the kapu whitu, the stars, so that's going to be released also. We're hoping to release that as well during the festival for tamariki. But yeah, the porphyry. But what would be good is that if you do attend, just please don't be scared to make yourself known to us so that we can, take you on a little wild journey with us.
Amazing. I'll just go to a question from Member Orm and then Matuatak.
Yeah, so the question is, I know it's early days, but what kind of uptake do you anticipate from Hokianga schools?
We would love as many that want to attend. We have a booking system so that we have some logistical management, and we acknowledge that for kura schools from your area, it's an hour to hour and a half drive. So what we've done is that we've created some options. So if they can't, say, arrive at the gate at 9, there's going to be a space at Haipa that will be doing holopuni and waka building, and that's like a free-flowing. It'll be structured, but not as structured as 6 rotation workshops at Aorere. And then you're going to see our voyaging, our big canoes that have to go into Manganui Harbour because it's a safe harbour and it's deep. They'll be available, hopefully tied to the 2 jetties so that, again, they can book in to go and touch and feel. So we are targeting 1,000 and it's pretty much first in, first serve.
Good, I'll go to Member Te Wake.
Kia ora. I'm assuming that all the community boards you've made application to?
Aye.
And that leads into my other question is that it's a massive event and you've put in some pretty significant funding applications that I think are still pending on the information that we have. What happens if you don't get all the pūtea?
So we can confidently say we've got budget A, budget B, and budget C, which is contingency, and we're confident that no matter what level of funding that we receive now, the event's going to go ahead. The only difference is we will be engaging more volunteers to do things like catering, like running workshops, like admin, like coordination as volunteers. With the funding received, just so I can give a quick update, we have secured Te Puni Kōkiri. We've got a component from Department of Internal Affairs. We've got a component from Sports NZ, and then our biggest funder that we are waiting for a response is on the 9th of September, and that's Foundation Northland. But whatever is confirmed between now and November, we're confident that we'll be either operating off a budget A, B or C.
That answers my question. Thank you. Are there any further questions? Thank you so much for your time. It's a huge event and all the best. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Thank you. And, like other presenters have said before us, we really want to keep our relationship with all of our community boards, because what we realise is positive things in the Far North District is positive for all of us, and we believe that this type of waka haurua model of success is actually really good for people, boys in particular, that had a lot of trauma, because you just put them on a canoe, like Papa here would say, and send them to Tangaroa, and Tangaroa will sort them out. But there's lots and lots of layers of empowerment and greatness that come from this kaupapa. So thank you again for listening to us, and we look forward to meeting you in the future. Kia ora tātou.
Kia ora, and someone will be in touch with our decision later on. Kia ora, and that brings us to the end of our speakers, and we've got our, oh no, I was going to say we go for lunch, but I'm ahead of myself. I got a little note here saying lunch is ready. I got excited. So we won't go to lunch just yet, but if no decisions will be made till later about the funding, you can watch it online if you like. You can stay if you like, but our funding advisor will be in touch with the decision anyway. So you're welcome to stay and listen to the rest of it, or you're welcome to take this opportunity to continue with your day. Thank you all for coming. Nice to see you, Peter.
You too.
Right. I think we need 5 for a quorum. Anyway,
We've got Scarlett online as well.
yes, we do have Scarlett online, so we will continue. So we're going to go to item number 6.1, and that is confirmation of the previous minutes. That is on page 8, and I have already discussed a couple of amendments required. Apparently, they have actually been made online, but I just want to ensure that those are recorded because the copy that we have has still got a couple of things that need to be adjusted, and those things are simply that on page 1 of our minutes that it says Richard Waggett from Splash Save Foundation was a speaker, and Phil Waggett came this time, but they didn't have a representative that time. So that needs to be removed from our minutes. And there's also, I believe, a change regarding apologies around member Mokoraka that wasn't needed for this particular hui. So are there any other amendments to be made around these minutes before we accept them? Okay, well, I'll move that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board confirm the minutes of the meeting held 1st of July 2026 to be a true and correct record, bearing in mind those minor alterations. Do I have a seconder? Member Te Waki. Any further comments? I'll put that to the vote. All in favour?
No.
Aye. Any against? Thank you. We will go to item 7.1, the funding applications. That starts on page 25. Excuse. Sorry, finding my right. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Marissa. Go to page 18, Whānau, that will be more helpful for the summaries that we have here. And our first application that we have on our agenda is the recommendation is A, that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of blank plus just if applicable to be paid from the board's community grant fund account to Claire Gordon for costs towards Mangungu Day exhibition. So I have a mover for this application.
I'll move it.
I'm happy to second it. Do you want to speak to that, Kelly, Member Van Gullen?
Yes, I do. I just want to ask Catherine a question if I can. That $1,500 that we gave to her in November last year.
Yeah.
Well, didn't that have something to do with picture frames?
That was for last year's ones. She's trying to get it ahead for the next lot.
I thought that she's going to be reusable picture frames.
Yeah, she's taking more photos. That's why she needs more frames.
And how repetitive is this application going to be? Are we going to receive this application?
But I had...
Yeah, because you want to go down that rabbit hole too.
Yeah, like, so it's now like we cannot do this every year. If she wants to she put in an application that asks us to fund it for 3 years.
And we can pass that feedback on to Claire as well. So And if you decide not to fund this year, it's because we recommend that she seeks funding elsewhere.
I wondered if there were opportunities to perhaps self-print or to subsidise the costs. Well, that's a remark. As a seconder, I did wonder because when this first came to us, look, I love Mangungu. I didn't even get up to see the exhibition. There were crowds and so on. I can imagine it's beautiful, and this is an extension on an idea, and I believe framing some historic pictures that have been kohāt from the community. So I believe that it's a beautiful thing, and the increased interest and commemoration of Mangungu is really important, especially coming up to our big event soon out there. It's really important, but I did at the time of our last application ask, is this something that we're expected to fund every year? And actually, if I recall correctly, the answer was no.
It was no at that stage.
At that stage. So while I am, at this point, I'm actually in support of this application, I would like I imagine perhaps Claire is watching, that there wouldn't be an expectation that every year we would fund this, because there's probably other ways to frame beautiful pictures for that exhibition. But I love the idea that she's gifting it to Mangungu and to the community and building on the importance of that event, which is huge for Horiki, for Mangungu and for our area.
Fortunate that it's Heritage New Zealand in this. This is a Heritage New Zealand site, and I guess they are going to, like, the community is being gifted this, but I guess if they're staying within the Heritage New Zealand site, like, then there's storage, and then they obviously actually are taking the ownership rather than the community. So where is their financial contributions to this ongoing project? Because the photos are going to be captured every year. Right? And I do am in support of that, but not to that level.
Does anyone else want to make comments before we start talking about how much?
No.
Nobody else? Did you have I should have actually asked you. Your figure was $500. If I raised it to $1,000, would anybody support me? And is that the correct procedure? So does anyone want to second $500 is probably more correct?
Yeah, I'll second that.
You second $500. Okay, so what is my correct process in terms of I'd like to make an suggested amendment?
We will vote on this first, and then
we'll vote on this one first. Kia ora. All right. So for a contribution of $500 to the Mangungu exhibition, I'll put that to the vote. All in favour?
Aye.
Well, that's passed. So there you go.
Scarlett.
Kia ora. Okay, thank you. We'll move to our next recommendation, item B. The Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of blank, plus just, if applicable, to be paid from the Community Board's grant fund account to North Hokianga AMP Association for cost towards replacement of goalposts on the sports field. Now, I'm actually going to move this, and I'm going to move for the full amount of $9,890 to cover the costs of simply replacing the material costs of those goalposts. Do I have a seconder for that amount? And I would imagine that could come out of our placemaking fund, can it not?
they're replacing items.
Oh my goodness.
You can absolutely make that decision if you prefer.
I would proposed that came out of our placemaking fund. So do I have a seconder for that amount?
I will.
Kia ora matua. So I'll speak to that. They'll last a really long time. It's a very active grounds. It's a very well-functioning group that is doing a lot of community work, who don't come and ask us for a lot in terms of that particular organisation, but also for the area and the surrounding area. I would like to share the love to North Hokianga for something, you know, when we fund events, which I'm also in support of, sometimes we fund $3,000 for a one-day event. This is about 3 times that, a little over 3 times that, for something that is going to last probably decades, because I believe that they'll do a good job and it will provide sporting opportunities to a whole lot of people, as Mr. McRae discussed. So that's my kōrero. Would you like to speak as a second member?
Yeah, they do a great job out there. The AMP Association, they run a really, really good ship out there. Our children have used the ground. Yeah, that's all. That's good.
Are there any further comments on this for that full amount?
Of course I can comment. I personally would not have given them the full amount, $5,000 maybe, or something like this, which is a sporting thing. They should really have not used us as their first port of call. I believe they should have applied to Oxford Sports Trust, because that's what they do. Foundation North would have done it equally just as quickly. I just don't think that we should be sitting being the first option. That's just my opinion.
Member Orr.
I just speak in favour of the AMP and what they're doing, involving all the youth right across different leagues and everything else. Absolutely important.
Anything, Matua?
No, I think that's worthwhile. Thank you.
Right, I'm going to put that to the vote. We've heard from different perspectives. So all in favour for that amount coming from the Placemakers grant? Thank you. I'll put that to the vote. All in favour? Right. And that has passed. Kia ora, whānau. Excuse me. We'll go to item C, that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of blank plus just if applicable to be paid from the board's community grant fund account to Pūmanua Āwhina for costs, whānau, social sports activations in Kaikohe. Now there's more detail across the page, item C. So they've requested $29,000. Does anyone want to move that and perhaps say an amount while you move it?
I'll move it with 2,760.
Kelly has quickly got shot in there. Do we have, what is it, 2,650?
I'll second that.
2,760. Sorry.
No, it's very specific.
Yes, that is the amount that Kelly said.
2,760. Is that what you're seconding, Member Mokaraka?
Yes, second.
I'll go to the mover, Member Van Galen. You want to kōrero to that?
Yeah, so that actually helps them cover their venue hire. And I know that the contract says it's in no means an employment contract, but it is an employment contract. And we do not do wages and salaries.
Yeah.
Would you like to add anything to that, Member Mokaraka?
Yeah, that's sort of the basis of it. Is just not a precedence we want to set for ourselves.
Kia ora, I would add to the fact that we only have a set amount of money that we're just starting our financial year off, and we want to we have collectively discussed as a group sharing widely across our district and our group, so that's the requested amount was too significant for me, so I'm happy to support the renewed amount.
I'm speaking against the motion. I think we have an enthusiastic person here who, over the transition over the next couple of years, is going to make that based in this area. And I think that $5,000 is encouragement to make that happen.
Okay, so the process is we're going to put it to the vote. If that fails, then we can make an amended recommendation. So at the moment, I'll remind us that this is for the approval of the sum of $2,760 plus just if applicable to be paid from the board's community grant fund account to Pūmanawa Awhina for costs for whānau social sports activations in Kaikohe. I'll put that to the vote. All in favour? Okay.
Aye.
So that has carried. All right, we'll go to item D, and this, item D, that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of blank plus just, if applicable, to be paid from the board's community grant fund account to Splash Save Foundation for costs towards Waiora Far North Splash Save water safety course. Does anyone want to move this with an amount, if you have an amount in mind? Member Ormer's moving. Do we have a seconder?
I was going to move.
What is the amount? 2,500 is the amount attached to that. Do we have a seconder for that amount? Member Court, as mover, Member Orm, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, it's a very worthwhile cause, but it's got a very narrow reach at the present time. So rather than seeing it going away because we don't offer funding, I prefer to see 2,500.
Would you like to add to that?
I think it's a worthwhile cause anyway.
I thought long and hard about this, and I was actually initially not particularly in favour, not because it's not important, because I thought that those opportunities were covered by Sport North and other groups. But listening to them, I understand, if I got it right, that there isn't anybody offering that opportunity to the preschool age group, which is super important. And while I recognise that a fair amount of that putia, hopefully, is actually going to whānau for tickets to the Northland College pool, I'm not against that, actually, although I agree with that amount that's been suggested. If that gets whānau to have their toddlers, their preschoolers, with some safety around it and encourages people to go, then I will actually be in favour of this. Any other comments? Member Mopuraka. That's why that's big yellow thing on.
Yeah, I'm just not inclined to support. I know we've got quite an active swimming club down at the Northland College pool, and I'm just not inclined to support external applications coming out of the region that haven't just in the first instance had a conversation with our local providers. That might not come in the form of a letter of support necessarily, but just the fact that they wait. It's the waiting. To me, these types of projects start with community engagement and a conversation first. And I don't like to support these, especially not larger organisations, when we know we've got small community providers who might be better suited and might just not know the pathways.
Good point. Does anyone else want to make comment?
That's why I asked what has been there. If they got any relationships at a local level.
Yeah, and I say that because I've worked with the college pool before, and they are very accommodating. They're very easy to communicate with, to get in touch with. It would have just taken a phone call.
Has any other community boards?
So they went to the Bay of Islands Whangaroa Community Board last month and they got $5,000 there. But a similar query was raised about which local community groups are you working?
Yeah.
And they said at that time that they would follow that up more strongly. I think they've put the application in without talking with local groups and then realised how important it is afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, he did say we won't get the money first and then we'll go and talk.
Yeah.
I feel an awkward position now, but I'm going to... So on the table is 2,500 for Splash Save. So I'm actually going to put that to the vote. So all in favour?
Yeah, I'll go along with that settlement. No.
Any against?
I'll like that.
Yeah, against.
Oh,
it's two.
Any abstaining?
Yeah, they're on good. They're not from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for the baby's sake, I'll just have to carry on with this 2000.
So you're in support. So did we capture that? That's 3, and it's looking at me.
do you have?
Do I haven't voted yet. I wasn't. I'm flip-flopping. So I will actually vote in favour, and I really want to see some results of our preschoolers in Kaikohe in the first instance, and offered to anybody else who might want to bring their tamariki. That I'm on the same lines as Member Mokaraka, that outside organisations who haven't talked to our own people, and then my flip-flop was perhaps this kicks something off and perhaps our own people pick it up when this has been given a chance. So that has carried.
Let's give them a chance.
Yes, and we want to look at the reports. We want to see numbers. I would like to see numbers when they report. So moving along to item E, which is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of blank plus just if applicable to be paid from the board's community grant fund account to Te Ringa Hāpai Pathways Charitable Trust for cost towards community program delivery infrastructure. Is there anybody who wants to move this?
Could we leave this one to lie on the table? I mean, someone's got to say it until more in-depth business plan comes back. Is that what we're waiting for?
Yeah. So my recommendation was that it be left to lie because the funding application on its face is to set up the office, and that seems a little. Yeah, I wasn't comfortable with that. My colleague here, Peggy, Peggy, while they were talking,
a couple of times.
While the speaker was presenting on this one, she looked it up, and there are 72 social services groups in this area.
That's why.
Okay, so we'll prescribe. So there's been a recommendation to leave it to lie on the table, and I understood from your kōrero matua you want to second to leave it to lie on the table. So we'll go to Member Te Waka and then we'll go to Member Orm with any kōrero.
Without knowing the numbers, we're overprescribed in that space. I mean, just in Kaikohe alone.
Just through the chair, I was at a meeting down in Whangarei that day, and someone said there was 72 community social service providers in Kaikohe.
In Kaikohe.
So the word saturation is in
Yes.
Kaikohe.
I was thinking,
No. In Kaikohe.
oh, well,
I mean, it's well known, it's saturated, it's well known.
So why are those ones not filling the gap?
So the recommendation is to leave it to lie on the table. We've heard from our mover and seconder. Do you have something to add, Member Orm, to that corridor?
Yes, I actually like to find the application based on the number of service providers.
At the moment, we'll go with there's a movement to leave it to lie on the table.
do we have to?
No.
Well, we'll put that to the vote and see. I'm interested to see if they come back with a business case. I still couldn't get my head around actually what they're offering and how they're paying kaimahi. Melissa.
I was just to suggest when you make a resolution to leave it to lie, just capture a reason so they understand what they have to do. Like, instead of just we leave it to lie, but leave it to lie until they X, Y, Z. Yeah.
Okay, so I should have perhaps encouraged that to be framed in the resolution. Would you like to capture that in your resolution, Kelly? Leave to lie until...
Catherine, read it out.
What I've written is that leave it to lie. We want them to present more of a business case showing what exactly they're going to do and what gap they are filling, particularly as there are 72 other social service providers in Kaikohe alone, and how are they working with those? Because it might be that they could be working with one of those other organisations and they get the funding and these guys just fill that gap.
You're not a social investment agency.
No. So are you happy with that change to the resolution? Are you happy to second that?
Yes, yes, I am.
I'm going to put that to the vote. It's about leaving to lie with those conditions. All in favour?
Yeah. Aye.
Okay, so that's been carried. We'll go to item F. That the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of blank plus just if applicable to be paid from the board's community grant fund account to Te Tai Tukaro Tārai Waka Inc. for cost towards Te Hekinga Mai Te Hau Homaru Waka Hau Water Festival 2026. And quickly running through, I want to move that amount of the $5,000. Do I have a seconder? Member Orm got in quickly. So I'll speak to that. Initially, I was reluctant because they've tagged that fund to Kai, which we've talked about not supporting, but looking at the huge event that it is and all of the other, they could have tagged it to several other things in there and I would have not even questioned because they tagged it to Kai, but I understand how funding works, that actually the putia that you get is spread across the whole program.
And through the chair, I did speak to them about that and...
Wow. Health and safety.
Still standing.
So welcome, Councillor Vusic. We're discussing.
So I did speak to them about that and they said, yes, we can spend it on something other than Kai. I will also say they went to Te Hiku Community Board on Monday who granted them $5,000 they requested there. They're going to Bay of Islands Whakapea tomorrow for the same amount. So they basically were looking for $15,000. They split it between the three boards.
Okay.
So that's my corridor. Would you like to speak to that, member? Councillor Vusic, we're on page 20 of our agenda discussing the Waka Haurua funding application item F. Member.
So in seconding that amount, I'd like them to do an outreach to the Hokianga schools, not just saying if you participate if you would, but specifically going back to the Hokianga schools to really encourage participation.
Good. Any further comments on this application? Okay, I'm going to put that to the vote. All in favour? Aye. Any against? That has been carried. We're getting there, whānau. We'll go to item G. That is the recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of blank plus just if applicable to be paid from the board's community grant fund account to Village Arts Trust for cost towards production of a historic kohu brochure. Do I have a mover? Member Orr, do you have an amount, Member Orr? Oh,
but to come from the right of way fund, not the community grant.
And is that for $1,000 that they've asked for? Are you happy to second that, Member Orr?
No, I won't second it. No, I second it.
Okay. As Kelly's just trying to wind up Catherine. I understand her position, but would you like to speak to that, Member Baker?
No.
That's fine. Would you like to speak to that, Member Orr?
It's long overdue. So, Richard, that brochure. I support it.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Vucic. We're not at the vote yet. Is there any further comment?
No.
I don't know what the maramataka is, but I'm surrounded by comedians. I'm going to put that to the vote for $1,000. All in favour? Aye. Any against? Aye. Kia ora koutou. I'm really happy to be supporting these North Hokianga applications. So, anyway, we'll go to item H, and that recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of blank plus just if applicable to be paid from the board's community grant fund account to Hokianga Women's Group for cost towards the 2027 Kohu Spring Show. Do I have a mover for that? Member Orr, and I'm happy to, and Member Court is happy to second that. Did you want?
No, 3 years in a row. Great community.
Did you have an amount that you wanted?
The thousands.
The 1,000. Are you happy to support that of 1,000? Do you want to say anything further, Member Orr? Matua Iri. Any further discussion? No? Okay, I'm putting that to the vote. All in favour? Aye. That is carried. Well done. That is our funding applications. We have come to the end of our funding applications, and what we have next, we're just going to carry through until we've finished funding because we're nearly there.
No,
so
just in relation to where we are on the agenda, I'd asked to be able to table a resolution before the meeting.
Oh. Is this an item that we can discuss? As I heard briefly about it, but we were coming straight into the start of the meeting, and I'm not aware of what it is. Is this something different than what we've received and what we've discussed in terms of? I did read your email around funding applications. Is this a different item compared to our discussion that we all fed back into around funding?
Just explain it. And all I'm asking is that a resolution be tabled. But by way of background, in the last 2 years, $197,000 of funding has stayed in Kaikohe. That's 67% of all the funding grants over 2 years. So the resolution I would put on the table is simply that all grant applications related to Kaikohe organisations be tabled for 90 days, and the funding advisor, Catherine, actively encourage and support other communities in the preparation of submission of grant applications.
I'm just going to check our democracy advisor of putting in resolutions without having them on the agenda.
I just want to say.
There has to be a really good reason for it that it has to be put on the table. I can't wait until the next meeting, I thought.
That's my understanding. I just want to check with our democracy advisor around putting verbal resolutions in at this stage.
it would be a resolution. It would, like a notice of motion that would need to receive beforehand. Okay. But I don't have the wording and I haven't received it.
Yeah. So the normal process is the notice of motion process. So since we've already made our funding decisions today, I think is it appropriate to do that, put it aside and bring it to a notice of motion for the next meeting. Is that the correct process, or are you going to tell me something different?
I'll just double check. So we've got Aisha's put her hand up online.
Kia ora, Aisha.
Kia ora. I didn't want to add anything to that particular corridor on the process to add a motion to the table. I thought it might just be helpful if the funding advisor talks about what she does do in the community to encourage applications and the role that community board members can play to also encourage applications from different sectors of the community where you know that there are gaps in funding applications, but it might be that we can provide that advice outside of the meeting.
I'm just going to make a call here that actually the what I was about to move is that we were just accepting member reports. I think there's a whole corridor to be had around this, but I don't think it's about talking about a resolution right now. But I encourage to go through the process and perhaps to even in our debrief discuss the ins and outs and hear from our funding advisor the suggestions that Aisha has made. I think there's a corridor to be had, but I don't think it's not accepting a resolution under this outside of process at this point.
No, I was asking.
Okay, so we're going to go to item 7.2 on page 39, that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board note the August 2026 member reports from Chair McVeigh and Member Orr. So we'll just go to that and discuss that, please. You'll move that. I'll second. Matua Doug will second that. Is there any corridor to be had specifically around the members' reports, partai comments? Okay. All in favour of accepting these reports? No. Aye. Any against? That has passed. So we'll go to item 8.1, which is page 52. Excuse me. The recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board receive the report Open Resolutions August 2026. Do I have a mover? Member Orm, I'm happy to second. Any discussion on the Open Resolutions report? Anything from staff?
No.
No? Any discussion to be had? I'll put that to the vote. All in favour? Are there any against? So that has carried. So that's actually bringing us to the end of this part of the hui, and before anyone runs away, we do have workshops after lunch, and I am telling the people in the room, the members in the room, that you're going to be part of my video, so the video isn't just on me. And so we're going to do that straight after lunch if that works for you. Yeah.
Work with you on that.
Yeah. Yeah, so just so nobody feels the urge to leave, we're watching you. Anyway, I'll ask that Matua Doug close our room.
Apurore kutamiko kutamiki kutuwedwa tapu. Ela waki te simatana ai e pera ne nai. Ai e pera tenu wākia.
And can we end live stream, please, Harley?